You are now rocking with the 3-yard play.
Right.
We just figured out a 3-yard play, fam. We're gonna win every time.
Yeah.
Hit that link with you. Come on in.
You're tuned into the 3-yard play podcast. Well, the only question is, does it work for you?
Trail got wings, bitch.
We've been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year. We live in weight just to hold up the trophy. Flag on the plate, cause them haters can't hold me. And 1, 2-a-days and run up the biggest hill just to sharpen up my skills. They hit the scoreboard first, I had to hit them drills. Time I get around the corner, they gon' see my new wheels. After practice, till the lights come on, till they bust ride out and they gone. That rally had us pep, my teammate down the steps. Player, we got plays you ain't even seen yet. I post up and fade away like graffiti. Just don't claim it's love when you see us on TV. We been working all year. It's game time. We all here. We turned up. Oh yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
3-yard play podcast.
We been working.
Brought to you by reality.
Oh yeah.
Where it is, what it is.
Game time.
You get what you get.
We all here.
So comment and let us know where you live.
Yeah. Cause we finna be the champs this year.
I did. So check this out. I would go a little further. You can call it conspiracy or whatever. But look, think about this. We've always been hearing that the economy is going down, right? The dollar is losing value and all that. So if you, a entity as a government, if you know that you're going to eventually have to make a transition from whatever currency you decide to go to another, how are you going to confiscate what does have value, right? Like asking somebody to give up their guns. They're not, what you gonna do? Go to every house and try to get people to turn them in? They're not gonna do that. So if the dollar is really had some type of value that they want it off the market, wouldn't you create a false narrative alternative so that people do invest what is really real? And then once they give all that they have, guess what you got? You got the real currency or whatever you want to get rid of off the market, while everybody else has an imaginary thing that you created that's never going to get off the market. So like you, Steve, I was always like, well, how do you use it? And then and you know my past, so once you start talking about you got to use it in the black market. No, sorry.
Say no. Right. Now I did a lot of studying on blockchain and its utility. From blockchain is different from Bitcoin and crypto, but I saw the usefulness of the technology from the basically it's just a digital ledger. It's kind of like being an accountant and you write it on paper. The only thing is every transaction is digitized, so you're able to follow your own money. You get every transaction you can look up on the ledger and see where it went, how much it went to, and who it went to. And just say if I had a partner in South Africa, he said, "Bro, I need some money. I don't have to go to the bank. I can send him through the blockchain 10 stacks, and they'll show on the ledger that they can follow it. You just know exactly where it went to, and it went there, and they go in a short amount of time. If I go through the bank, it probably take a week or two. It takes seconds or minutes if I work it through the blockchain. So that's why I believe in the crypto space, because it took out the middleman. You don't have to go through the bank. You can buy your house, and then even you can, through the blockchain, you can set up what they call smart contracts on your house, where as soon as your money hit, it'll trigger off the deeds and all that stuff going to that person once everything hit. So you can take the bank all out and you can buy the house in a day. You know what I mean? So once all you satisfy all the requirements of the digital contract, so when the next money hit, like I'm sending money, I gotta send. Let's say I gotta send all y'all 30 grand first. So when all the money is hit, then I get access to the information through my smart contract. If none of those things happen, I'm not getting mine. And if I need to go back and say, hey, I sold you this, it's written down in a digital ledger that can't be tampered with. So I can go right to the transaction and say, hey, this is the day it happened. This is how much you got. And you can't, as soon as you try to manipulate it, it creates a whole nother code. So even that transaction is still there. But if you try to manipulate it in any way, it just create a whole nother number or transaction number. I just say a transaction number. I'm talking in layman's terms just a little bit more, but I just want to make sure y'all understand what I'm saying. So
needed, yeah,
blockchain, needed. Crypto are different things, but they use cryptocurrency on those particular blockchains to make the transactions. So you have to say Bitcoin blockchain to receive Bitcoin and Ethereum blockchain to receive Ethereum. You can't send Ethereum to a Bitcoin blockchain.
But it's still a large part buyer beware, because I'm all for the technology and I was sold on, the ideas of how it performs both the ETH and the Bitcoin and the idea of the blockchain, but I made the mistake in not putting my crypto on a cold wallet or in just storage outside of the platform in which I purchased it on. I purchased crypto on a network called BlockFi, which is basically an exchange where you could purchase, various types of cryptos, and it will hold it and give you interest, bear interest every month, which was cool. And the rate wasn't even crazy. But in the day, you don't get something for nothing. Right. And unfortunately, I didn't understand enough about whatever it was that I didn't know when I purchased my crypto that, okay, a whole another company could go down, but the company I'm dealing with is so tied in with this company. If they go down, they're going down too. Arguably, it's a Ponzi scheme. That's just some base Ponzi stuff where, like, I don't think all crypto is that, but there are a lot of players in the crypto space that aren't really backed by anything. And you were mentioning earlier, Robinhood got FDIC protection and different things. So I would encourage people, just as you invest or whatever you get in, see what's backing it up, what's behind it, and make it move accordingly. Because
you're very vulnerable though. I'm vulnerable though.
And just take it out. I think it's one of those take it out as you get it. Maybe take some out and keep some in cold storage or keep somewhere. Arguably having it on the platform, you could always risk the whole platform going down, and I didn't get that as much. Like in real life, you're not just gonna go to Bank of America and the whole Bank of America is just a wrap. Right. You'll see that coming a little bit faster than it just happened. Right. So.
But I'll say this though, it is best to keep it in the cold wallet though, just period. You know what I mean? But I had that same fear you had. What if I lose my passcode? What if I lose my access? It's just gone. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so I use that exchange. But I listened to but I also, to your point, I just did a lot of the research though before I jumped. It took me about 6, 7 months, 8 months before I even told my mom and my brother about it, before I pulled anybody into it. I even took certification classes to understand it better, all that stuff. I got students that I taught, and they now in that space. They doing social impact. They actually do work with Africa and set up blockchains to help them build the infrastructure. So I know that it's valid, but when you start talking about investing in crypto, which is totally different, anybody can create some, sell you on a like you said, on a dream, tell you how much money you can make, but they don't have any real, I guess you say, true juice and staying power. So like I work with Binance, and which is kind of like the Bank of America other stuff. You know what I mean? Those companies that kind of hard to fail, if you will. You know what I mean? They can fail, but they might get some level of protection from somebody else.
Like I don't know if Robinhood, didn't Robinhood not too long ago have an issue with, it was a group of young people who basically flooded the market. Basically, however they did it, they basically made it where it was so imbalanced that Robinhood couldn't give out anything. They just had to basically shut
Oh yeah,
shut it
because the
down.
people's games were just so crazy that they
They
couldn't
like,
even
hey,
fund
we
it.
can't run these transactions, and that's when a lot of
Right,
people abandoned Robinhood. And I was like, "Woo, I'm glad I went in that space, but I didn't know where else to go."
right. And see, I
You know what I
was.
mean? I didn't know where
I
else
mean,
to
I didn't
go.
have a lot. I didn't have a lot in Robinhood, but it was just the fact that, man, because there is no true regulation, really. Like anybody can kind of just send it somewhere left or right, and I was like, well, is that really even different than the regular market, right? I mean, shoot, something go wrong in China, our markets over here are affected as well. So it seems like
Right,
it's different, but in reality, it's just another form of the same thing.
right. I would assume too, though, that a lot of us kind of got in this space over the past 2 or 3 years. They just say that during COVID and all that stuff, 1920. Man, they were manipulating the market so hard, though. You know what I mean? But you realize,
Right.
oh, true regulation. They were playing with prices. People were getting rich off Tesla. Then they would get the AMC theaters is what you're talking about. They were
Yeah,
manipulating shorts and
and
all. So they
game
knew
and
how to
Yeah.
manipulate
GameStop,
the
it
markets
was
to
doing.
so they
Yeah,
were driving prices way up. Like he mentioned,
Yeah.
Dogecoin went to like 74 cents. That was on a tweet by Elon Musk. So people just bought in because he was going on Saturday Night Live, and I was just watching that thing go up. I'm like, yeah. Next day, boom, just gone. I'm like, wait. So to y'all's point, man,
Dang.
it's something you gotta do your research on and kind of find the right projects is what they call them that are worth supporting at the end of the day.
and one thing we've talked about is that it's just a very dynamic market. I think more so than we used to with traditional banking, it's just more dynamic. You can't just leave anything too much and just let it free fall. You got to kind of keep your eyes on it and be an active investor. Because some of this stuff, if you know, then you're gonna be plugged in and get a little bit of word of what's coming down, and you start to know what to look for. Because for the exchange that I was on that went all the way down, say originally we were getting 6.5% monthly, and then they brought it back to maybe 4.5%. And the fact that they brought it back should have been now in retrospect, like, bro, you should have skated in. For the fact they had to scale it back at all, that means somewhere along the lines there's a problem or something is slowing down. They can see some writing on the wall. So that should have been a sign for me to kind of pack it up or just take more precaution, whereas just you live and you learn type of
But
thing. But I do feel like in the new digital currency space or cryptocurrency space, you just gotta just be an active investor and keep up with it.
and then I said the flip side of that is only put in what you're willing to lose and then just sit on it. Because a
Yeah.
lot what you describe is what they call staking, where if you just hold it, they pay you for holding it in that space. Let's say 10 years from now, you say that money you ain't need it. But shoot, like the way it's going,
Mm-hmm.
and I relate it back to Bitcoin. It got all the way up to like 68, 74. But when it crashed at like 6 to 16, which 2 years ago is still twice as much the value. So when it fell down, it still fell high. It didn't go all the
Right,
way to
right.
zero. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? We just bought in and it drove the price up. And that's what I'm suffering from. Like, dog, I should have just held on. I bought back in. I was worried about that going 100,000. I was gonna miss it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you're to
So
the
now I got
moon.
to just hold on. I'm down quite a bit, but I still own at least the crypto that I have. I still own it. So when somebody else manipulated to your point and get that price up, I'm out. When I can
Right,
recover
right,
enough of my
right,
I'm out. You
right,
know what I mean? I'll wait for it to
right.
crash again and maybe come in. It's a Ponzi scheme. It's a scheme when you invest in like that. You know what I mean? So I ain't gonna
Yeah,
deny that,
yeah.
but that's the game though. That's the
But
game.
but I guess now playing in the game, I kind of get now. You don't come into the crash, you know. See before they hype you on come in, it's going crazy. Come on, like
Wait for it to
I
hit
need
bottom.
when everybody mad, when everybody like fuck this, this y'all ain't nothing. That's when
That's
you come in.
crypto, real estate, cars, man, everything. You buy low.
Buy low, sell
Hey,
high.
that's my thing in life. Buy low, sell high, man. Everything.
Yeah,
Right.
I
No
held
matter
too
what it is.
long. I should have took them highs and just ran, but I didn't want to pay the taxes. Now I'm paying worse than the taxes now. You know what I mean? I
Yeah.
gotta try and get back forward, so to speak. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Right.
So,
And see, by you saying that, it's dynamic, in the sense that you're more hands on, that people realize with more hands on that there becomes more responsibility. So if you're saying you want to take control over, the income and how it moves and how it goes from here to there, you've got to be more active. And that's when I realized, like, realistically, I've become accustomed to banks doing all of that, really, you know what I'm saying? Kind of just make okay. But now, you know, you get into crypto, you need to watch it. You need to look at it every day. It's not put it in there like a savings account and just sit there, you know. And so that's the part I think people don't really think about. You know, is just you got to be a little bit more active in that arena, you know.
Let me throw out a disclaimer real quick. I am not a financial advisor. I'm not offering any financial advice to anybody.
Yeah, this is not financial advice.
I'm just speaking on my experience, period, point blank. Don't take what I'm saying and try and run with it. But to that point, then let me say this. That when you operate in that space, and to your point, you got to know the research. There's some people still making money in these crashes because they know how to, like the Fibonacci sequence. You know how to find it. So there's some money still to be made in the crash. You just got to know how to invest. So research, and ask a lot of questions.
Like the people trading options and all that. Yeah.
Right. Option trading, you know, all that stuff. Just know, if you know what you're doing, you can still make money in a bad economy.
And one thing, you know, as we approach that 15-minute point, man, I give my final thought now, man. If anything, I would just say the power of compound interest. You know, that's something I just wish I would have known younger. But through compound interest, I mean, you could have not much money, but put it in an account with compound interest and give it enough time, and it's gonna turn into hundreds of thousands, if not damn near a million or more, if you get started at a young age. You know, if we were in high school, junior high, and just put a little $100 here, keep throwing 100 at it, keep doing this, it would be so much money by now. And so some of it, you know, unfortunately, what they say, you know better, you do better. So if any young person looking at this, man, shoot, YouTube, Google, just learn about compound interest, put you some money there, and let time be your friend, you know.
I guess if my last words would be, you know, when we think about investment or investing, I think we always think about giving out or putting something into something, you know, putting, you know, into this, invest into that. I think we also need to start thinking about living below your means as a point of investment as well. Like, people don't really think. You think about all the other stuff that we've spent, right? We spent on this, we spent on that, and before long, we've actually just got stuff or done things that we just didn't necessarily need. And if we had to scale those things back, that would have been investment. You see what I'm saying? But a lot of times we got investment money going out, and we got, you know, just frivolous stuff that we giving out. So if crash in you know, Bitcoin or whatever, you still could have had something somewhere else put up somewhere else from not spending. You know what I'm saying? From not overexerting yourself to the point where if one thing crashes, it's over. You know what I'm saying? So I think that would be a good thing to think about as we go forward. Is just kind of like really living below our means or living within our means, put it that way. I ain't gonna say make it where you just miserable, but live within your means. And that'll be a form of investment too.
And I'll just close with this. You gotta know your relationship with money. You got to build a relationship with money by knowing how to diversify your assets and how to invest. You also got to not take it on as an opportunity to get rich quick. It ain't about no get rich quick. You know what I mean? It ain't no schemes out there. It's always gonna get somewhere to get got. So do your research and develop a relationship with money so you know how to spend. You know what I mean? That type thing.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Moore, what you got, Stephen?
Oh man, just based on listening, y'all, I would just say do your research, man. I'm not big in crypto yet. I'm getting there, but do your research. Invest in things you believe in that will be here in 20 years from now. Be patient, man. If it's a get rich quick scheme, if it sounds easy, it ain't. It ain't right.
Absolutely.
Patience is what I said, man.
That's it.
Well, hey, y'all been tuned in again for another episode of 3 Yard Play, where the only question is, does it work for you? Shouts out to everybody that was with us tonight. Good looking our special guest, Stephen Morse. What's good, brother? Thank you for checking in with the family. He really extended fam, man. Y'all never know when that man might pop up on you. So, stay tuned.
I enjoyed the first one. Don't know.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you.
For sure. All right, y'all.
Peace. 3-yard play, baby.
Peace.
Much love, man. Y'all be cool, man. Like, share, subscribe. We out.
Peace.
Peace.
You see, the thing that separates us from every other group of slaves is the fact that
Thank y'all for tuning in today and every day. And remember to keep running your 3-yard play.
Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers, they gon' grow. We gon' water season, watch that harvest flow. I've been crunching up.
Cause we know heroes are made in the off season.
There should be no reason
And
that
grinding
the baby
slow is
never
better
hungry.
than crashing
When
out
we
for
get
dough.
that money bound for we don't run it.
So say, young brothers, remember,
Don't fulfill the promise.
I ain't never 3 yards every day. They can never
I can't
stop.
read that narrative, so ain't no need of calling us. You ain't never had to tell your kid being black was a sin, cause his skin was reflected through America. Taking care of us was just a handout, right? But it was fair when free labor was just as nice. I can bet you your life, your kids living alright. Cause me and
You
mine had to
have
do
been rocking
it or
with the
die every
3-yard
single
play
night.
podcast.
I get mine, yeah. You get yours, yeah. But together, nigga, we gon' get some more, yeah. Look at them mouths, we feel like flowers,
So
they
like,
gon' grow.
subscribe,
We
share,
gon' water
and
season,
let's
watch that
discuss.
harvest flow. I've been
What's up with
crunching
us?
numbers, winter, fall, spring, and summer. There should be no
Thank
reason
you.
that the baby
Tuning in
never
to
hunger. When
3-yard
we get
play
that money
podcast.
bound for, we don't run it. I only
Focus
pledge
on to
allegiance
it.
to, don't fulfill the promise. Time and time